Welcome to the CRE with CBC Worldwide podcast, Women of Coldwell Banker Commercial Edition, where we highlight real stories, smart strategies, and current trends from women leading the way in commercial real estate. I'm your host, Jenna Hilly, and whether you're growing your career, leading a team, or just interested in what's happening in the industry right now, I'm really glad you're here. Today, I am so excited to introduce my next guest. She is someone who has spent over 35 years doing the work, holding the title, navigating the cycles, and then made the rare decision to walk away from a major leadership role, not to slow down, but to build something she felt the industry was then missing. She's worked at firms like CBRE and Envision Young, led initiatives for Fortune 500 companies, managed institutional accounts for some of the biggest names in finance, and most recently founded the Moneypenny Collective, a coaching and advocacy platform helping women in CRE lead with influence and rise faster. She's been recognized by Globe Street as Women of Influence and by BizNow among Denver's top women in commercial real estate. And honestly, her story is one I think a lot of people in this industry need to hear. Marcy, welcome to the show.
Woohoo! This is so exciting. I
I'm
love
so happy
being
to have
here.
you.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much. And I know we had so much to talk about before we even started recording, where I was like, we got to start recording. This is all too good stuff. We need the people to hear what we're having a conversation about. So let's dive right in. Tell us and the listeners your path into commercial real estate. Kind of how did you find your way here initially?
I started back in the day actually as a single mother with a 3-year-old daughter, and I worked really hard because it wasn't just about me, it was making something for myself as well as my daughter. And, I started off with a firm called Hines, and when I don't know, I was in working with them a year, I, realized I'd found my tribe, because I was a back in the day, a building secretary, it's true, and, that was in property management, and that gave me an opportunity to work with capital markets, with leasing, with marketing, with research, with project management. And so I met all of these different professionals. I had no idea what they did or what their titles meant, but I knew they were my people. And so started out early. I'm very fortunate.
And that's such an inspirational start to your story because, you hear a lot of people struggling to kind of find out where they fit in, and you felt really comfortable to start with where you were at. How did you, continue to grow through the chains of command to get up to the roles that you had?
Yeah. I've always been a driven female. From a little kid, all the way up to a seasoned professional. And, it really helped because I loved the industry. Somehow my DNA just mixed beautifully with commercial real estate, and it made sense. And I was so curious about something I knew nothing about that I asked a lot of questions and applied what I was learning. I had a terrific mentor when I started out. He helped me understand. He was very patient, helped me understand the industry. And then as I grew in property management, I saw the importance of that because I had never thought about all of these office buildings, who takes care of them?
Right.
Yeah, I just okay, they're there. How does that work? So I understood that. But then I wanted to know more about the industry. And I started joining industry organizations so I could get the designations, I could take the classes to understand it better, and also to expand my network so I could include people who were doing the jobs that I was doing. And more importantly, the people who were doing the jobs I wanted. And so I just started I'm a networking person. I am not shy. I, love networking, so I would meet people, ask them a lot of questions, and with the last name Moneypenny, I mean, you gotta be kidding.
Honestly, you didn't have a choice, did
Yeah, I
you?
didn't have a choice, and I get all the James Bond, Shaken Not Stirred, all of
Sure,
those kind of
sure.
things, and so, of course, it helped for people to remember me because of my last name, but I just worked really hard. I wanted to understand how the investor side of the business, which is typically capital markets, leasing and property management work, but also on the occupier side of the equation, those tenant reps who bring the tenants to the buildings that the investor side of the business works in. So I really wanted to understand it, and I then had opportunities, because I started at a very entry level and worked myself up, not on the ladder, but to me, it's a jungle gym. And so I was moving things, going from here to there and understanding, I wanted to, manage people because I had done their jobs. I knew what was expected. I knew what their job description really meant, and it gave me the opportunity to start learning about leading and managing people and caring for others so that they too could have the careers that they wanted.
And I love that you just said jungle gym because besides being a very fun and playful reference, it really showcases, your style of leadership where you get into the nitty-gritty of what needs to be done and how things work and operate to get a better understanding of the business as a whole, and I think that's such a great
Right,
approach to have that I think a lot of people can relate to, but it can be overwhelming because there's so many different facets for you to kind
right,
of go into in different directions that you can go, and
right.
I know you said, you had a mentor that really helped you before, and you've spoken about, a mentor versus a sponsor, and so I wanted to kinda get your thoughts more, if you could expand on what you think in terms of those 2 terms, mentor, sponsor. How do you see those working and helping you in your career?
It's one of the training sessions I love doing the most is because I've worked with women in our industry who have assumed that mentors and sponsors are the same thing. It's just a different word, and they're very different. Uh, First of all, a mentor is, in my opinion, first step in, career development, and it's working with someone, typically in our industry, who would give you advice and counsel, help you build your skill set and your understanding of the industry. They would be someone, these are silly examples, but they're the first ones that are coming to mind, could tell you how to dress for a presentation, how to take a client to dinner and feel comfortable with that, how to bring in other layers of your company so that a client understands all the things that you can do for them. It could even be what shoes to wear when you're on a tour with clients so that you're comfortable, but you look professional. All of those things that you may not have been exposed to, but they're going to be important in presentation and building your reputation. And then, one of the things about mentoring programs that's really great is it's been my experience, women struggle with asking for help. And so you're in this organized, oftentimes, mentorship program where you're expected to ask questions. It's the perfect platform, to feel comfortable in that. And typically, your mentor is agnostic to as far as having an agenda for you, other than they just wanna help you grow in your career. Well, a sponsor goes beyond advice to action through advocacy. So imagine someone that will spend their social capital on your behalf, someone who will use their influence to get you noticed. Somebody who will use their reputation to walk into rooms that you'll never be invited to again on your behalf. So they are someone who is an advocate in discussions in conference rooms, in executive boards, talking at the old water cooler about somebody saying, "We have a new position," and then mentioning my name or your name because they believe in you. They know they've worked with you. They know your reputation. They know your professional signal and wanna help you have the career that you deserve. So very different, My first sponsor, I have to give him a shout out. Brett Hunsaker was, someone and he's still one of my sponsors, but he was my first sponsor when I was with CBRE and someone that I still, connect with. So, they don't need to be for just a short period of time. They actually can be for your entire career.
Well, shout out to Brent. Thank you so much for your advocacy and
Yeah,
sponsorship. And I do love that distinction because it can be we talk about mentorship a lot on the podcast. It can be overwhelming to have to go to one person for a lot of things. You need to kind of
sure.
spread your network in your community.
Well, and one thing, if you don't mind me elaborating on it, is women need to understand hard work is really important. You have to understand the vertical, the department, whatever you're in, you need to understand the basics of how it works. But you can't leave your career just in and depend on hard work. You need all the influence and a light shining on you. We wanna go from being known for our output to being recognized for our potential.
That is so impactful, and it reminds me of what we were just talking about before this call, talking about strategy and having a roadmap and how can you expand more on that conversation and how that might relate to the mentorship and sponsor and planning to make sure that you're cultivating these relationships as part of that roadmap?
Right, right. Well, I think uh, I have opinions that aren't always going to, be shared by everyone. And I know that one of the things, Crew's come out with a really great study, I think, for 2025, which everybody really needs to look at and absorb and take in. And one of the things, I don't know if it was Crew, but where 9% of C-suite are women, and that hasn't changed. It's my opinion, not every woman wants to have a C-suite position. They just don't. And, they want to maybe be at a mid-level and really enjoy that career, understand it, get the most out of it, and, just love every minute of it. So what I like to do is I certainly work with up and coming females in our industry. I work a lot with the University of or Denver University here in Denver. Awesome group of of students, love the females. And, I love working with them because they're new in the industry, but middle management women they can feel like they're stalled, they're frustrated, and it's really a time where that strategy comes in and answer some really hard questions. Do you really wanna go up leadership to leadership, or is it you just like the idea of it? Would you like to have a more well-rounded career at the mid-level where you can also spend, more time with your family? You can travel more. You really need to think about what do you really want and strategy. Once we put together a strategy, we naturally go to those tactical steps of what we should be doing, to go from here to here to here, rather than just picking and choosing and hoping that the moments that come your way will create the, career you want. Rather, you really need a roadmap.
Mhm. To kinda cultivate, and I think that's so important for women, especially because to your point, you can be satisfied with where you are if you like that life-work balance, especially I think after COVID, there were transitions, some people are completely content where they are. They like clocking in, they like clocking out, they like their family time. Not everyone likes to pull up the ladder, and it is a lot of work as you keep going and growing.
Yep.
You, as you mentioned earlier, left a major leadership role to build the Moneypenny Collective, which what you've done with that in such a short amount of time is really remarkable. What then led to that decision in your kind of strategy roadmap? How did you get there to that next step?
Well, as you had mentioned, I am legacy 15 years CBRE. And when I left, all of my career at CB, I got a PhD. I will never say anything but glowing remarks about CB because of my PhD. And while I was there, I learned the importance of client management. And when I left the firm, I was the global lead for the Morgan Stanley account. Loved that. You can just imagine the challenges and the use of strategy, which I love. It was terrific. And I left to go run the brokerage office for Avis and Young here in Denver. And I think at that time, there were only 2 of us, 2 females who were running brokerage offices here in Denver. So that was really fun. I spent my 5 years. I started 2 weeks before the pandemic, and then really my whole career was dealing with aspects past, present, future of the pandemic, and when my contract was up, I, wanted to do something and spoke with leadership. I said, "I have to serve our industry, the women in our industry. Uh, they're underserved and underrepresented, and I want to help them have the careers they've always wanted, taking apart their career, looking at what we can change and, grow and make more rewarding and put it back together again." And so that I'm a year old, look a little different for a year old, but having, the time of my life. Yeah, it's been great.
I mean, really thriving. And I that you've talked about moving past pulling up a chair and building a whole new table before. What does that actually look like in practice? Is that what you're doing with the Moneypenny Collective? How does that kind of factor into what does building a whole new table mean?
Yeah, well, there are a couple different sayings women have been obligated to, and one of that is find your seat at the table. I was doing a training session here or a kickoff for the mentorship program for ULI here in Denver. And I mentioned something about claiming your seat at the table. And because it was a mentoring program, there were still men who were in the mentoring program helping. And I asked one of the gentlemen, "Have you ever felt the need to claim your seat at the table?" And he looked at me, he said, "I don't know what you mean." That was pretty telling, and it kind of supported how I've always felt is you shouldn't have to claim a seat at the table, and any table that requires that, let's push it aside and build our own table, and we're gonna make it so long that everybody is, welcome. There's no sitting, over on this side for women or standing in the doorway. You have every right to be involved in the conversations in a conference room, in an executive committee, because we need everyone as they are in our industry, because without them, there's a gap. We need people as they are, with their experience, with their reputation, with their expertise, and we don't need them to try and clone themselves off of someone else. We need them just like they are.
And how do you, because you talked about the client's experience as a differentiator, how is that really changing more in this data transparent market?
Well, it's funny when I was at Avis& and Young, one of the things and I quite frankly, at CB, talking with brokers a lot about the importance of, uh many brokers, I'm not saying all, are looking for the deal getting the deal done and getting a commission, and we know the results will happen. But what I've found over the years and what I'm an advocate regardless of where I am, is the client experience. And if a client isn't having a good experience through, let's say, soup to nuts from, whether whatever the deal is from the very beginning to the end, there's a good chance they won't work with you again. And you can become a one-off broker instead of developing those relationships, and none of us would wanna be a one-off broker. So, the experience for the client should really be something that brokers focus on because that also will enhance your reputation or your professional signal in the market, and that way, you're not feeding your competition because if someone's not gonna work with you, they're gonna go somewhere else. Does that make sense?
That's amazing advice. And it sounds It's very simple, but it's actually really difficult in practice. So if you're a broker or, a professional listening to this right now, what is one thing you'd want them to walk away or do differently in that respect?
Yeah, it would be differentiate yourself. Care for your client, that you're investing in a reputation for the rest of your career because you never know where that client is gonna go. First of all, to me, it should be an authentic desire, not trying to be so I can make more money, but if you that's how you are, fine. But care for them, look ahead, communicate with them often, ask for their input. What is it that they want instead of you telling them what you're gonna do for them? It has to be about the client.
I hear you, and I think that that differentiator is so important in making sure that you know that the trust is built. That's how you build trust and through that
Yes,
authenticity. So
absolutely.
I think that's going to
Perfect.
resonate with a lot of people, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I would love to keep talking to you about so many other things, but we're kind of close to time here, so
Oh
I
my
want to wrap
gosh,
up with my lightning round questions. I know already.
that went
Um,
fast.
quick fire questions. I ask every guest to close out the podcast. So let's just jump right in. Marcy, who is a woman or a man in business or leadership you admire right now?
Let's see, I'd mentioned Brett Hunsaker,
Mhm.
so obviously Brett, but thinking back, actually, it would be the entire advisory board that I was on at CBRE for 10 years, every one of those fabulous women. They know who they are.
Fantastic. We have four CBC values: win together, do right, ownership mentality, and big hearted. Which one is resonating with you and why?
Win together because the others that you mentioned, kinda everybody has their own definition of what that might be. But winning together, everybody, um enjoys that, and everybody wins. When it's together, what is that saying? "If you wanna go fast, go alone,
You want to
but
go
if
far
you wanna"
together?
Yeah, there you go.
Beautiful. What is a underrated leadership trait?
Authenticity.
One thing you hope to see more of in commercial real estate in the next 5 years?
In 5 years in commercial real estate, believe it or not, embracing AI without being fearful of it, because I think much like when the internet came around, I mean, what it brought to our industry, I think it could help jump take our industry out of the 20th century into the 21st century.
Speaking of AI, what is one tool or tech you cannot live without at work?
It right now, it would be the efficiency and effectiveness of the AI platform, but it really would come down to the human connection.
And finally, what is giving you hope or energy in the market right now?
It's so funny, depending on where you live, we're hoping that office is coming back. I honestly believe once capital markets is back and is stabilized for a number of months, maybe even years, that is going to start turning everything back because, during uh, the last 5 years, I think capital markets was down 67%. So until right now, this is a long answer, I'm sorry, but, right now, there are a lot of buildings selling in downtown Denver, but at a huge discount. So those sales, buying and selling has to come back so that it's at within a margin that it's a win-win for everyone.
That is a great answer. I understand it was a little bit longer than you wanted, but we didn't have a chance to get too much into the trends because we
Yeah.
had such a great conversation. And Marcy, this is exactly the kind of conversation I love having on the show. So thank you so much for being so generous with your time and your story.
Sure.
Where can people connect with you, learn more about your work?
First of all, LinkedIn. I'm
Yep.
on that is my platform, love it, posting all the time. You can find all of my information on LinkedIn, or you can go to my website, which is marcymoneypenny.com. Who knew?
No. You know what? Make it easy for people to find you. Just use your name. And I know you had a nice social media tip for LinkedIn that you wanted to share with people. So maybe
Yeah.
we could follow up with that.
Here's one just in case you did not know. You it you can schedule post on LinkedIn where the when you go into post or post, there is a clock there, and it will give you an opportunity to choose the date and the time. So if you want to write your LinkedIn posts on Sunday, which is what I do, you can schedule them for the following week and then just go on and knock it out of the ballpark doing something else.
Yep, a great update to your routine to kind of make yourself more efficient and keep up with the social media posts. I
Yeah.
love it. Thank you for that great advice, Marcy. And again, thank you for being here. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of CRE with CBC Worldwide. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with your network and sign up for our newsletter. If you have anyone that you would like to join on the podcast, please make sure you share them with WCBC at cbcworldwide.com. We'd love to share their story. Until next time, keep leading the way.